Alright, y'all, welcome back to Tactical Alliance Gaming and another Raid Shadow Legends video, okay? So, what we got, Plarium just put out the new champions that are coming out in patch 4.50 today. Alright, now I got it up on this other screen over here. We're going to go through these champions. We're going to check them out. There are some up here that are absolutely freaking busted, or what their kit looks like on paper. We don't know multipliers, we don't know anything like that, but right now, they're freaking busted. Which is cool, because we want to get our hands on them before Plarium has a chance to come through and hit them with the Nerf bat, right? All right, here's what we got. So, starting off, we have the new Doom Tower champions, Taiya. She's a Void Epic from the Shadowkin faction, attack-based champion. Her A1, Dazed Powder, attacks one enemy, 50% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. That does book out to 60%, okay? Her A2, Venom Kunai. Probably butchered that, but that's what I'm going to go with. Attacks one enemy 3 times, each hit, 75% chance of placing a 5% poison for 2 turns. On a 4-turn cooldown, 3 once you get her booked out. That also bumps it up to a 100% chance to land that poison. Then, on the A3, Blood Boil, attacks one enemy, 75% chance of instantly activating any poison debuffs and HP burn debuffs on the target. Also, 75% chance of placing 100% heal reduction for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. That does also book out to 100% chance. Okay, freaking awesome, right? And aura ally accuracy in all battles by 50. Sounds kind of sick, right? Could be busted, could be pretty good on clan boss. Next up, we got Gweneth. All right, just looking for, well, at least it ain't Guinevere. I'd be looking for King Arthur. Anyway, Gweneth. Alright, she is another epic. All these are epics right now. I'll say when we switch so I can skip all that crap. She's a magic-based champion from the Dark Elves faction, attack-based. Okay, awesome. She's magic affinity, cool. A1 Infiltrator attacks all enemies. This attack will not trigger counter attacks. Oh, what? I'm sorry, Valk. Huh? Anyway, A2 Apathy. Alright, on the basic, so unascended. Attacks one enemy. Before attacking, has an 80% chance of placing a 25% weaken on the target for 2 turns. Cool! What happens when you ascend her? Well, I'm about to tell you. Ascended attacks one enemy. Before attacking, 80% chance of placing a 25% weaken on the target for 2 turns. Heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. Then heals all allies with any surplus heal. That's on a 3-turn cooldown. Alright? And that does book up to a 45% chance on that debuff, by the way. For A3, Flow of Malaise. Transfers all debuffs from this champion to one target enemy, then attacks that enemy. Ignores 10% of the target's defense for each debuff they're under. That's on a 5-turn cooldown. That books to a 3-turn cooldown. Alright, little donkey, right? Alright, cool. Here we go. Auras. Ally speed in Doom Tower battles by 25%. So there you go. Oh, that's Gweneth. Next up, Dark Kale. This is the one I was really interested in checking out. Sounds kind of cool. I'm kind of looking forward to getting my hands on this champion. Not on him. That's dirty. That's something else. We don't do that here. On him or on this champion and check it out. Check out what he's got. Right. All right. So here's what we got. Obviously, magic affinity. There's a shock. Dark Elves. Again, there's a shock. Attack-based. Oh, such a shock, right? Epic. There's an epic Kale. Now, A1, Weaver of Woes. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit, 25% chance to instantly activate 2 poison debuffs or 1 poison debuff and 1 HP burn. Oh, that books up 35% on the A1. On his A2, Binding Darkness. Attacks all enemies. 75% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack for 2 turns. Each critical hit also has a 75% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1 turn. Kale is now a debuff extender that books to 100% on a 3-turn cooldown. Holy dog mess, right? We got a debuff extending Kale now. And get this too, his A3, Reality Acid. Guess what he's got there? Oh, poisons. 75% chance of placing 5% poison debuffs and a 25% poison sensitivity debuff for 2 turns. Guess what? That books up to 100% chance and a 3-turn cooldown. Oh, they're overdoing themselves with this one. Busted. I hear Clan Boss calling. Anyway, His passive, Delirium, decreases the crit rate of enemies under 2 or more poison debuffs by 15%. If there's multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. Good lord, he sounds busted, right? That's funk. That's I can't drop F-bombs here. That's freaking ridiculous. All right, next up, new legendary, Varro the Destroyer, Spirit, Affinity, Orcs, and attack based. A1, Ravaging Leech. Attacks one enemy, heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. Yay! Yeah, I get it. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns. Also places a 50% decrease attack for 2 turns on those enemies who receive a weaken debuff. That books out to a 100% chance on a 3-turn cooldown. When booked, 4-turn without. Calamity Torrent, his A3. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 30% of the target's defense, decreases the target's max HP by 50% of the damage inflicted. Places a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn if this attack kills an enemy. Books down to a, again, 3-turn cooldown. And his passive, Mass Murder. See, I like the sound of that right off the gate. I'm pretty sure Murder Inc. does too, right? Alright, Mass Murder increases this champion's attack by 10% each time they lose an active skill. Or use an active skill. Stacks up to 100%, resets each round. Crazy. Next up, Vassal of the Seal. Another Lego, Force Affinity, Demon Spawn, HP-based champion. Attacks one enemy, places an HP burn debuff on the target for 2 turns if they're under a True Fear debuff or a decrease attack debuff. Also places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 10% of their max HP. As is A1 Abyssal Seal, his A2 Infernal Darkness. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a True Fear debuff and a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Plarium is losing their absolute damn mind with these going down to 3-turn cooldowns on stuff. Awesome for us till they nerf it. Anyway, A3, Demon Possession. Balances the HP of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. After balancing HP, grants an extra turn. On a 4-turn cooldown. We're getting freaking redonkulous here, right? This is getting absolutely insane. All right. Now, what do we got? Legion of Doom, his passive. That's some Shanacia stuff right there. Legion of Doom, passive, receives 20% less damage from champions from the Bannerlord, High Elf, and Sacred Order factions. If there are 2 or more Demon Spawn champions on the team alongside this champion, increases the crit damage of all Demon Spawn champions on the team by 20%. Now, the crit damage increase only works when the champion is alive. So if he gets his ass waxed, ain't working. Alright? And he has an ally HP in all battles by 33% aura. Alright? Basatha! That was just fun to say, right? Basatha. What's his name? Oh, it's Basatha. Anyway, alright. Having a freaking day. Sorry, alright? Basatha, Lego, Magic Affinity, HP, Lizardman. Oh, we got a new Lizardman other than Draco. Let's see how he holds up, right? A1, Death Roll. I'm liking these names. Attacks one enemy, 40% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack for 2 turns. That books out to a 60%. A2. A2. I'm having a day. God Beast's Boon. Place is a 25% strengthen buff and a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a shield buff for 2 turns equal to 25% of this champion's HP on allies under Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Provoke, Sleep, or Stun debuffs on a what? 3-turn cooldown. And then get this. Okay, look at that A2. Look at this right here, right? Okay, look. Stop right here. Pause the video and take a gander right there. A2. Shield. With books. To get that 3-turn cooldown, you add an extra 20% onto that shield, which makes it 45%. Kind of fat, right? Yeah, that's that fat badonkadonk kind of shield. Right? Alright, cool. A3, Staggering Heft. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn and decreasing each enemy's turn meter by 30%. Woo! On a 4-turn cooldown. Alright, now he's got his passive called Soul Keeper. Whenever an enemy is revived, it has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff on him for 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted or blocked. It's on a 1-turn cooldown. Get this, books out to 100% chance. So, enemy gets revived. He stuns him for a turn. Your nuker goes, waxes the floor with him. GG, game over, right? Sounds busted. 1-turn cooldown. Pick up a, you know what? I mean, oh my god! Like, think of that in arena. That's friggin' insane. Can't be resisted or blocked. Come on. All right, I'm kind of digging that though. I want to get my hands on him, get him in arena, and play with him a little. Now, aura, ally HP in all battles by 31%. Okay, so the auras are definitely going with the HP side. Here we go, new champions. Lorius the Proud. Looks like a freaking lion. It's kind of cool, right? Roar. Anyway, legendary. Void attack-based champion from the Skinwalkers faction. A1, Lions, Twin Claws. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Damage increases by 20% if the target is less than 60% HP. That does book out to a 90% chance of landing that debuff. It's a big version, decreased defense on the A1. Okay, now, I'm thinking Clan Boss with this dude, right? Attacks all enemies 2 times. Rage of the Pride is A2, right? Attacks all enemies 2 times. It has a passive. This champion is immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, and true fear debuffs when this skill is not on cooldown. Thank you, baby Jesus, for AI override. Do not use A2. All right. A3, Awesome Roar. Attacks all enemies. 80% chance of placing a true fear debuff for 1 turn. Before attacking, has an 80% chance of placing a weaken on all enemies for 2 turns, 4-turn cooldown. Oh, by the way, you also increase the debuff chance by 20% when you book that out. And he only needs, what, 6, 10 books? Hello, Plarium, what'd you do with the 18 book Legos? I'm good with that. Keep it this way. Don't be asses. All right. Now, passive, True Grit, active effect, instantly places an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn before receiving a fatal hit. The passive effect, damage increases as the champion's HP decreases. By 1%, damage increases by 1% for every 1% of HP lost on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, check this out. Put that with a Fury set. Think about this. Take that, put him in a Fury set, it does the exact same thing, and from what Hell Hades was saying earlier in his video, it freaking stacks. Okay. Oh man, I want to hit some Fire Knight, start farming up some Fury gear. Alright, and he has an aura of allied crit rate in all battles by 24%. Alright, oh buddy, we're talking. Motherabelle. Force Affinity support champion from Knights Rev. Kind of cool looking too, actually. A1, Mask of the Dread, attacks all enemies. 25% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Also fills this champion's turn meter by 15%. Now, 25% chance of landing that decreased speed, right, on her A1. Yeah, well, guess what? You book her out, bam, it doubles it. Goes up to 50%. Cool, right? Decreased speed? Okay, all right, all right. A2, Soul Shepherd, places a Revive on Death buff and a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Now here's the kicker, right? 6-turn cooldown unbook. Look at that. Boom. Cooldown, cooldown, cooldown. Book that thing down to a 3-turn cooldown. Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. A3, Uncanny Transfer, swaps HP with an ally. If this champion's HP is equal to or higher than the target's after the swap, fills this champion's turn meter by 40%. Places a 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns. And places a block damage buff on the target ally for 1 turn. If this champion's HP is lower than the target's after the swap, fills the target's turn meter by 40%. Places a 30% increased speed buff on him for 2 turns. And places a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn. Also places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on this champion for 2 turns. 6-turn cooldown. Guess what? Once again, we book down to 3. Yeah! Alright. Grave Walker, her passive, fully heals the ally with the lowest HP whenever this champion is killed. Sacrificial lamb here. Heals all allies by 20% of their max HP and fills their turn meters by 15% whenever this champion is revived. She is a sacrificial lamb, alright, y'all. You just kill her, revive her, kill her, revive her, kill her, revive her. You're set. And she has ally speed aura in all battles by 24%. Magnar, new epic. This dude, there's a couple in here that's actually freaking insane, alright? We're going to check this dude out right most Ricky Tick now, alright? Affinity, HP-based, demon spawn. And he's an epic, alright? Check this out. Attacks one enemy, A1, superheated hammer. That just sounds cool, right? Superheated hammer, just hammer the enemy down. Alright, anyway. I'm having a day, y'all. Alright, superheated hammer. Attacks one enemy, 45% chance of placing 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And 100% chance instead if the target is under an HP burn debuff. Now check this out. Guess what that books out to? 60% chance. Alright. A2, percussive pound. He's all about pounding shit. Stuff. Attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies without HP burn debuffs. Has a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn on enemies under HP burn debuffs on a, you guessed it, 3-turn cooldown. Yeah. Now, Fan the Flames is A3. Attacks 1 enemy, applies a debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies under HP burn debuffs. Also increases the duration of HP burn debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. What? He gonna spread it and increase it? What? Will not spread fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, or stun debuffs. On a, guess what again? 3-turn cooldown. Yeah, they're going batshit in this thing, aren't they? Alright. This champion, I'm sorry, his passive. Flesh Melter. This champion heals by 1% of their max HP every time anyone in the battle takes damage from HP burn. You roll this dude into Spider, that son of a bitch is going to stay on his feet the whole fight. And he's got ally defense in Doom Tower battles by 30% for his aura. Next up, Cornelia. Cornelia? Yeah, Cornelia, that's what we'll go with. All right. Here's what we got on this cheeky little girl, right? Alright, epic. She's magic affinity, support-based dwarf. And she looks more like, from the picture here and from Hell Hades' video earlier, she looks more like a Night Rev than anything else. But here's what we got. Surprising Swiftness is her A1. She attacks 1 enemy. Has a 40% chance of increasing the cooldown of one of the target skills by 2 turns at random. Oh, yeah, by the way, and that books out to a 50%. All right, her A2, Piece of the Deep. Basic, 80% chance of placing a sleep debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Ascended. 80% chance of placing a sleep debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. However, she also gains this passive effect. Whenever an enemy loses a sleep debuff placed by this skill, has a 50% chance of replacing it with a fear debuff for 1 turn instead on a 5-turn cooldown, but guess again, it books to a 3. What? Alright, Revitalizing Rest is her A3. Places a sleep debuff on an ally for 1 turn. Heals that ally by 50% of their max HP and fills their turn meter by 50% whenever the sleep debuff expires or gets removed. Heals that ally by 100% and completely fills their turn meter if the sleep debuff is lost due to taking damage from an enemy. On a 2-turn cooldown. That's 2 turns. What? And increases ally speed in all battles by 18%. Tell me that ain't busted, right? That is busted. 2-turn cooldown on that? What? All right, next up, Jurojin. He is a Spirit Affinity HP-based Shadowkin like we could not tell based on the name alone. A1 Monk's Spade. Attacks one enemy, 45% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for what? 2 turns. And that does book out to a 45-60% chance on the A1 of the decreased attack, okay? A2 Fated A2 Fated Duel, all right, places the shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 25% of their max HP. Then attacks one enemy. Places a Provoke debuff for 1 turn. If the target's max HP is equal to or lower than this champion's, the Provoke debuff cannot be resisted. You go jack him like you would Mountain King right there. All right, push him up around that 100k. And the shield, it does book out. You get an extra 20% on that shield to take it up to 45% of their max HP. And that does come down to a what? 3-turn cooldown. Holy dog mess. All right, his A3 True Smite attacks one enemy. Will ignore 25% of the target's defense. Will also ignore unkillable and block damage buffs. And guess what again? Guess what the cooldown is? 3 when booked. What? All right, Smiles at Death. His passive will receive 25% less damage from enemy attacks when this champion's HP drops to 50% or below. And what's he got? He's an HP-based champion. What are you going to think? Ally HP in all battles by 25%. Jack that HP up, right? All right, cool. Tolf the Maimed. He's an Orc HP-based champion, Void Affinity. All right, we do have quite a bit of here going with Voids, right? Okay, A1. Blade Hand Butcher attacks one enemy 2 times each hit. Heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. This attack cannot be critical. Okay. Remember that. His A2 cut wide open. Attacks one enemy. And not attacking bosses. He inflicts pure damage and increases the target's HP, or decreases the target's HP to 50%. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP instead, and places a stun debuff for 1 turn. If the target already has less than 50% HP. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP when attacking bosses. Enemy max HP, or his own max HP. Well, interesting. They've got to be thinking freaking clan boss on this thing, because 21 to 25 dungeons, that's freaking useless. But that is on a 3-turn cooldown. And his passive Armor Cracker decreases the values of all enemy shield buffs by 50% at the start of every turn. Then increases this champion's max HP by the same amount, up to 25% of their max HP. Guess what? Good night, Valk in Arena. You now got wee shields. Although, again, so does my Chris. Alright. Eurogram. Another Void Epic support-based champion from the Organ Tribes. A1. Skullstaff. Basic. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Walks up. I can't even say it. Whacks him 3 times. Walks away. Ascended. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 25% chance of placing a 5% poison for 2 turns. That books a 45% chance. There's better champions to go throwing poisons out there. Okay, even Nethril. Nethril is solid. Now, A2. Tingly Tincture. Removes all debuffs from an ally, then heals them by 40% of their max HP. On a 5, 4, 3-turn cooldown. What? A3. Bizarre Vapors. Places 3 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on all allies for 2 turns. On a, you guessed it, 3-turn cooldown. and increase ally speed in all battles by 20%. Now we're getting down to the rares. Next up, we have Ashwalker. Whoops, did that there in stream too. Void Affinity, attack-based, Night Rev. Y'all ready for this? All right. Basic on his A1 Great Hammer. Okay, attacks one enemy. Walks up, punches him in the face, walks away. Cool, right? Yeah, not really. I can do that. Ascended. Attacks one enemy. Resets the cooldown of the Devastator skill if this attack kills an enemy. Now, here's Devastator on his A2. Attacks one enemy. Has a 65% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 10% if this attack is critical. Well, okay. Oh, and you can book him out and get the chance up to 70%. Right, 60, it'd be 75, 85, 90% chance of placing the stun. All right. His A3 Backbreaker attacks all enemies. 75% chance of placing 15% weaken debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And ally speed in all battles by 12%. Now, remind you, this is a freaking rare, y'all. All right, now check this girl out, right? Candleguard, another little dwarf, right? Yeah, we like them dwarves, huh? Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Magic Affinity, attack-based champion, A1, Light of Scrutiny. Yeah, see, my dumbass knows big words. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of removing 1 random buff. Has a 50% chance of stealing 1 random buff instead if the target has 3 or more buffs. Goes up to 60%. 60%. Alright. A2, Triumph Cry. Attacks all enemies. 50% chance of placing a 15% weaken debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. A3, Focused. Places a 25% increased attack buff and a 15% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns and attacks all enemies on a 4-turn cooldown. Kind of selfish though, right? Increase attack and increase crit rate on herself, then hits everybody. She just wants to be special. Hellfreak. This dude just sounds kind of cool, right? All right. Hellfreak, Spirit, attack-based champion from the Demon Spawn. And he's a freaking rare. A1, Vile Blades. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a 16% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. That books out to a 40% chance on his A1. That's each hit, though. He hits twice. So 2, that's 40. I mean, it doesn't really stack that way, but think about it. You got 2 40% shots. Anyway, A2, Mind Games. That's what my ex-wife used to do. Anyway, attacks 1 enemy. 50% chance of stealing all buffs from the target before attacking on a 3-turn cooldown. And that also actually books out to 75% chance of stealing the buffs. A3, Worst Nightmare. Swaps HP with the enemy, then grants an extra turn on a 4-turn cooldown. And increases ally speed in all battles by 10%. A freaking rare, y'all. Alright, here's what we got. Lumberer. He looks like my ex-wife. Force Affinity. Force Affinity. I'm talking about that goofy mouth right there. Anyway, my ex-wife was a woman. But anyway, I digress. Force Affinity, attack-based champion from the Ogren tribes. A1, Gigantic Pulverizer. That's what my brother called it. Never mind. Gigantic Pulverizers. Attacks 1 enemy. 30% chance of placing a 25% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Also, 20% chance of increasing the duration of any decreased defense debuffs by 1 turn. Oh, that goes up to 50% too. Yeah, on an A1. What? A2, Flatten. Attacks 1 enemy. 50% chance of placing 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And it books out. 75% chance. All right, A3. Massive momentum. Place a 15% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. Then attacks all enemies on a 4-turn cooldown. Alright. Next up and last on this list. I know it's been rough to get through. I'm in weird form today. I'll try not to let it happen again, but I ain't going to re-record this whole damn video. Anyway, we got 2 Messia. I know I butchered that one. Alright. Legendary. Void. Attack based. Skinwalkers. Alright, check this out, right? This broad right here. This girly girl right here is freaking busted. Check it out. A1, Fiery Battle Axe. Attacks 1 enemy. 50% chance of placing 60% decreased debuff or decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Has a 100% chance of placing 60% decreased debuff for 2 turns on the target before attacking if the target is under an HP burn. What? Flambos. Yeah. Check it. We'll keep going. A2, Cunning Chaos. Attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing HP burn debuff for 3 turns. Has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn on targets with a 50% turn meter or more. 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed buff for 3 turns on targets with less than 50% turn meter on a 3-turn cooldown. And it books out to a 100% chance of placing an HP burn. A3, Burning Regret. Oh, I got that from marrying my ex-wife. Alright, attacks 1 enemy. Damage increases by 40% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle up to 400%. What? Also, 75% chance at decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. Decreases the target's turn meter by an additional 15% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle on a 3-turn cooldown. What? Oh, and that 75% chance, it also books out to 100. 100. Yeah. And her passive, Inner Heat. Oh, I thought I felt that for my ex-wife, but I was wrong. It was diarrhea. Anyway, whenever an ally receives a freeze debuff, has a 50% chance of replacing it with an HP burn for 2 turns instead. This debuff cannot be blocked or removed. Removed, yeah, Guess what? It's there to stay. Whenever an ally or enemy is under HP burn debuff, this champion is immune to stun, sleep, freeze, fear, true fear, and provoke debuffs. What? Right? It's bonkers. It's freaking crazy. There's some busted shit in there. I'm cool with it, though. Let me get my hands on some of them before they nerf them. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Let me know what you think of these new champions down in the comments below, right? And don't forget that subscribe button down there. It is your friend. Also, remember, we stream on Twitch. Here, I'll actually show you. I will show you. Right there. We stream on Twitch every single weekday. I don't need that private to me shit. There we go. Oh. There we go. Every weekday we stream right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Tactical Alliance Gaming. We are gold, y'all. Make sure y'all come by, check it out. All this crap popping up. Screw it, y'all get the idea. You know how Twitch works. Anyway, guys, I will catch y'all next time.